Hello students, how are you? Now exam is very close. Now you require to put highest, or you can say highest effort towards your goal realization. Today I will take up last topic of your second section 2, that is corruption in public Lokpal. This topic has been important in BPSC significantly, as there has been question from this topic also. There was question repeated also. In 56, 53, 50, 55 exam, there was one question. Can institution of Lokpal eradicate corruption in India? Give your opinion for and against of this institution. This question was repeated in 56, 59 BPSC. The same question was that can institution like Lokpal eradicate corruption in India? Give your opinion and suggestion for and against this institution. So this question has been asked. This year also there was question on this topic. So question was that, do you feel that the Lokpal is an opposite of soul of Indian Constitution? This question was asked. And earlier also there has been question on Lokpal. So, sometimes there was separate question on corruption also, or integrity in administration. Once there was question in first paper, in 43rd BPSC, question was account for the decline in the integrity in the civil service. What measure should be taken to prevent it? Question was on integrity. Getting a point? This is the basic thing. Now, today I will take up corruption and Lokpal, and I will try to examine whether Lokpal is sufficient to control corruption or we require some more measures. Administration is moral activity and administrator is a moral agent. This statement is given by Ordway Teed. This holds even today. This holds relevant even today. Administration is this. I try to point out that it is general popular saying that money is lost, nothing is lost, health is lost, something is lost, character is lost, everything is lost. In the same way, I try to point out that in governance and administration, if law is lost, nothing is lost, system is lost, something is lost, and if ethics is lost, everything is lost in administration. So this is very important. You can well imagine how ethics is an important getting point. If there is law, rule of law, and there is system also properly working, but there is no ethics in official working, then what will happen? Everything will go in vain. So first and foremost important thing is that ethics should be very important. Once there was a question asked in UPSC that is important for public servant to be efficient, no problem. But it is more important for them to be ethical. That is more important. If you are efficient, no problem. But you are not ethical, then you will not serve the cause what you have taken up. So ethics is very important, and that's why we have taken up topic today. I told administration is moral activity and integrity is its hallmark. Getting point? And since administration or governance involves authority, and authority or power has tendency to be corrupted. Lord Acton says power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So their general tendency on the part of governance and administration, there is tendency to be corrupted. Getting point? If they are tendency to be corrupt, then what will happen? Moral activity or integrity will be in jeopardy. Getting point? And that will lead to some corruption and grievances. I try to point out that corruption and grievances are closely related, but corruption is one factor responsible for grievances. There can be other reasons responsible for grievances also. Getting a point? And this leads to ultimately administrative reform to correct, and Lokpal is one of the important measures to correct administration and to eradicate corruption. So today I have taken up topic corruption. Then topic I will discuss meaning and definition of corruption. Then I will try to point out what are types and forms of corruption. Then what are reasons responsible for emergence of corruption. Then what are impacts of corruption. Then what measures we have taken up. What is Lokpal and other measures we require to take up. So corruption, not corruption. Integrity in administration is a very important topic. You know, integrity, you can say, it is something like, you can say, ideal condition, ideal state in administration in which one public official is supposed to exercise his duty in pursuance of public interest. Getting point? Suppose a public official is exercising duty using authority and power resources for public cause, that we can say there is integrity in administration. Get your point? Integrity in administration is basically synonymous of good governance. Integrity in administration is, you can say, guarantee of fulfillment of public interest. Integrity of an administration enhances the credibility of administration. It also increases faith of individual in administration. Getting point? It is guaranteed that public resources and authority are properly used in public interest. So if there is integrity in administration, you don't require to do anything. The thing will take its course its own. So you don't require anything. But as I told in the beginning, that authority has power to be corrupt, a tendency to be corrupted, and as it shows its work, it gives its work, then there is widespread corruption, and ultimately leading to public grievances. Then what is corruption? You can say corruption is an opposite of integrity in administration. It is, you can say, undesirable behavior, and you can say unwarranted activity which causes exercise of authority, public authority in public personal interest. Getting point? If some exercises power in personal interest, that is corruption. Getting integrity in dishonesty, illegal behavior in position of authority and power is also called corruption. Joseph Nye, they try to define corruption. He told corruption is basically behavior which deviates, getting point, from formal duties of public office role because of personal regarding influence. Getting point? And the same way Sanathan Committee also tried to point out that any action or failure to take action in the performance of duty by a government servant for some advantage is corruption. So suppose public official exercising his power or performing duty but not in public interest but is in personal interest, this is corruption. Getting point? So corruption means in general misuse of official position or authority. Corruption means deviation from rules, regulation and norms. Corruption means non-action when action is required. Corruption means, personal gain for selfish motive. Then corruption means monetary and non-monetary benefits from administrative position. Getting point? And ultimately it is detrimental to public good. So this is very important thing. If there is integrity in administration, it is good governance, it is optimum utilization of resources and authority, it enhances public credibility to administration, it increases market value of administration. Get a point? It is basically guarantee of fulfillment of public interest to optimum. Getting point? And in contrast, if there is corruption, then it may lead to several ill consequences. And that you can say that suppose 1 rupee from Delhi starts going to village, it reaches 15 paise. And if it is 15 paise only, then what will happen? It will cause dissatisfaction. it will cause social disintegration, it will emerge Naxalism, alienation, and several divisive forces which become threat to national integrity and unity. So you can admit or not, that is not important, but one reason is clear, that corruption is solved. Also one of the important reasons for emergence of Naxalism, alienation, terrorism, and other aspects in administration. So what I mean to say, last time in Jammu Kashmir, it was also said that one of the reasons of terrorism in Jammu Kashmir is corruption also. The past government misused their position and power for their personal interest. They subordinated the public cause and public interest. That's why, for a long period, the basic needs of individual are not getting addressed. That's why they took different paths and started working against national interest. So this is very important thing you require to keep in mind, that integrity in administration is very important and we require to correct it. Getting a point? And it is very much required also. But irony is that its absence is, you can say, all pervasive. Not you can find everywhere, no matter you talk of which country, which time, even during Mauryan administration also there was existence of corruption. That is why Kautilya has said once that if you put honey on your tongue, you cannot live without having its taste. In the same way, if someone is having position, then there is no denial that there will be misuse of power or position. So this is the basic point. The same thing, in the same way, Kautilya also identified 40 types of corruption during his period. So corruption has been not in India only, but in other countries also, particularly in those countries where there is transitional society, corruption is more, particularly in developing countries like Bangladesh, North Africa, and Ghana, etc. You find corruption is there. That is expression, the existence of corruption is basically is manifested in the form of parallel economy, black money, and increasing amount of misgovernance, or you can say poor governance, leading to several divisive factors, ultimately threatening to integrity and sovereignty of country. So this is basic thing you require to keep in mind. Now I will like to point out. Now I do hope that you could understand what is corruption. Corruption means deviation from the public way, deviation from the defined way, deviation from the morally dictated path, and causing or exercising power or authority for personal gain. Getting a point? So this is corruption, I tell you. So what are forms? I told in Kautilya Arthashastra there is mention of 40 types of corruption. In India also, Central Vigilance Commission identified 27 types of corruption. But if you find in reality, it can be more than 127 types also. Then what can be types of corruption? Misuse of power, you can say misuse of position, then acceptance of subordinate quality of services, then submitting fake, you can say claim, then you can say giving favor to your personal, giving favor to your family member in public offices, then you can say taking graft or bribing while doing your duty. There can be a number of things. I can tell you. You go through any book, you'll come to know number of corruption are there. There are large number of corruption. Getting a point? So from you can say post pillar, you'll find there is a widespread corruption. Getting a point? That is why it is getting some sort of threat to our governance, administration, and sometimes to a country also. So what is basically reason why corruption increase? Getting a point? So I will go for corruption reason. Then I will like to point out Second, ARC has identified there are three factors responsible for corruption in India. First, he told colonial legacy. Getting by number two, he told asymmetry in the Indian society. And number three, most public policy placed citizen at the mercy of the state. 3 point he has pointed out. Second, ARC. And the first, colonial legacy. Definitely, we inherited corruption from British rule and elaborated it further. Number two, you can say our society is very, you can say, heterogeneous. There are number of persons who are having not in position to fulfill their basic needs. Getting point, and there are very few segments of society which are monopolizing the largest share of resources. So, the society is not having equal distribution of resources, and this is also reason of corruption. Number three, you can say, after independence, we have taken several policies, several initiatives, all made our citizens dependent on a state or government. They did not become self-reliant. Last time we find when there was corona and lockdown, all of a sudden the economy was stopped, and what will happen? A large section of laborers from different Bihar, UP, and other states become jobless, and they started moving from big city to their native state. Then we came to know how our labor or mankind, or you can say public, are dependent on the mercy of government. They don't have self-reliance. So this type of lacuna, or you can say problem, are reason especially for corruption. So these reasons, but in general, if you ask me what are types of corruption, what are reason responsible for corruption, then I will say yes, historical reason is also one of them, including British rule. Getting point? During British rule, even there was corruption. During company rule, there was gift system and all. Wide difference in, you can say, salary between highest level and lowest level. It was estimated 400 times difference of salary between highest and lowest. So this was also reason, and there was wealth drain also. That this was the reason. During First World War, there was shortage of goods, and that's why government started restriction, and license Raj was started, Inspector Raj was started, and that led to corruption and institutionalization of corruption, which continued even during famine also. Before independence, we faced severe famine in the country, and during that time also there was widespread corruption, hoarding, black marketing, etc. Any point? As I told, India inherited corruption from British rule. Just as India got independence, and there was only interim government that time working. Even during that time, even corruption started. That's why Mahatma Gandhi has written letter to Jawaharlal Nehru, pointing out that in his knowledge, several ministers are started taking bribes for doing job. So you can say India inherited corruption from British rule. Getting point? Number two, you can have social and cultural reason. Indian society is basically transitional, in a transitional phase. Why? Traditional value system is uprooted now, and new value is yet to be established. So materialism is very much on increase. That is why the prosperity is considered yardstick of prestige. Getting point? So no matter from where you are making money, if you are having money, you are respected in society, no matter whether you are ethical or not. So this is all. Society in general, you can say, accepted silently the corruption also. Getting point? So that is given some silent acceptance to corruption. Getting point? Then you can say geographical and economic reason also. Rapid urbanization, industrialization also cause increase in corruption. Getting point? So there was materialism, there was, you can say, value, and you can say isolation that caused emergence of corruption. Then you can point out some political reason also. Political reason means you can find the elections are very costly and their cost and they involve large amount of resources. That's why political party take political chanda from different industrial houses and business persons and they give favor after they came into power. So this is also one of the reasons for corruption. Then you can say political optimism, opportunism. You can say corruption, political. You can say and criminalization are also some reason responsible for corruption. Then you can point out administrative reason. And the law to deal with corruptions are not very strict. There are a number of problems and loopholes which is generally misused by guilty officials, and they take as a shelter. The salary difference, the disparity in salary is also one of the reasons. In government job, salary is a little bit miser as compared to private sector. This is also one of the reasons responsible for corruption. So I pointed out historical reason, social cultural reason, then geographical reason, economical reason, then political reason, and last administrative reason. Getting point, these were responsible for corruption. Getting point, the corruption has significant impact on society. It basically causes, increase in administrative cost or effective cost. Suppose some work can take place or will be done by 5 rupee, due to corruption it will become 15 rupee. So this is the reason of increasing administrative cost. Then you can say society is divided into have and have not. Then you can say there will be emergence of parallel economy, black marketing, hoarding, social disturbances, dissatisfaction. Then you can say honest officials feel you can say demoralized here. Getting point, and there will be some sort of always deviation from regular rule of law. So if corruption is rampant, it will cause several ill consequences to system in general. Rather, I must tell you, it will uproot system. So it may be possible that will not lead to misgovernance under administration, and sometimes it becomes fatal to even say sovereignty and integrity of country. So this is a very important thing, that corruption. Once there was question, which one is more dangerous, communalism and corruption? Then generally students used to say that, sir, communalism is and corruption. Okay. I tell you, both are wrong. Both are dangerous, corruption and communalism. Getting point? And both are ultimately causing disintegration to system. That's why you require to correct them. Getting a point? So after independence, I tell you, before independence, we have taken several steps to curb control. Several acts, laws were also enacted during British rule. Some of them I can point out that Public Servants Inquiry Act came in 1850, Indian Penal Code 1860, Criminal Procedure Code 1860, Special Police Establishment 1941, Delhi Police Establishment Act 1946, Commission of Inquiry Act 1950. These were Delhi Police Establishment Act 1946. These were initiatives taken before independence. Getting point? Now after independence, Commission of Inquiry Act 1952 against political leaders and eminent public persons. Prevention of Corruption Act 1947 also. Getting All India Services Conduct Rules 1954, which later on amended in 1968. Then Central Civil Service Conduct Rules 1955 and Railway Services Conduct Rules 1956. There were several vigilance organizations in different ministry and department. In 1963, Central Bureau of Investigation was established by merging a Special Police Establishment Act and Delhi Police Establishment Act 1946. Getting point? As I told, India inherited corruption from British rule, and I also pointed out how Mahatma Gandhi wrote later to Jawaharlal Nehru also. You know, in two states, particularly in Punjab and Jammu Kashmir, there were severe corruption charges against Chief Minister. The local inquiry was conducted and found that it was at the, you can say, on behest of political system, or corruption was misuse was done. So Jawaharlal Nehru government constituted, you can say, a committee under the chairmanship of K. Santhanam, getting point, which found which studied corruption in detail and recommended it to establish Central Vigilance Commission. So in 1964, Central Vigilance Commission was established. 2003, it was made a statutory body. Earlier it was made by executive order. Now it became through parliamentary act. Earlier it was one man organization. Now it became three-member organization. Get a point? On the pattern of Central Vigilance Commission, in a state also, State Vigilance Commission was established at the division level. Vigilance board were established at district level also. The vigilance board was established. Get a point? And several states anti-corruption bureau was established. You know, first ARC under the chairmanship of Morarji Desai, later on K. Hanumanthaya became its chairman, recommended it to establish Lokpal, a Lok Ayukt institution in India. Getting a point? Then in 1985, you can say there is Central Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission to address public grievances, particularly consumer aspect, that due to malpractices, or you can say wrong done by service delivery agency. Then there was National Commission. There is National Commission for SC, National Commission for ST. Supreme Court and High Court are throughout working for against eradication of corruption. Then you can say there is 1988, there is Directorate of Public Grievances, established Central Secretariat against bank, insurance, postal, telecom, etc. to address public grievances and corruption charges. Parliament and its committee also played very significant role wheresoever corruption eradication is concerned. You know, Jeep scandal came during the Jawaharlal Nehru period. It was revealed by Public Account Estimate Committee. Then you can say in 1956, the first scandal, that Mundra scandal came. It was during question hour. So what I mean to say, there has been throughout work on the part of Parliament and its committee to check corruption. You know, in 1985 there was a separate ministry constituted under Prime Minister, that is called Ministry of Personal Administrative Reform and Public Grievances. This ministry is basically nodal agency for all administrative reform, including public grievances and corruption eradication. Particularly this one department of this ministry, Department of Administrative Reform of Public Grievances, has taken initiative to establish or enact right to information, citizen charter, Lokpal, etc. So now we have Lokpal. You know, for the first time, the demand for Lokpal was sounded by first ARC. Getting a point? It is based on ombudsman pattern of Sweden, and at present almost 50 countries of the world have adopted this institution. This institution is a place at apex level to address public grievances and corruption. Ombudsman is basically Swedish term which stands for public spokesman, or advocate. on working on because on behalf of public to address public grievances. Getting point? So in India, for the first time in 1968, Indira Gandhi government brought legislation that is called Lokpal Act. Getting point? Lokpal legislation. But due to dissolution of Lok Sabha, it was not approved, enacted. Then onwards, 10 times this effort was done. Get one in December 2011, UPA government brought ultimately Lok Ayog legislation, which became, the act in 2013 as Lokpal Lok Ayog Act, which became operative in 1st January 2014. So now we have Lokpal Lok Ayog institution. This is established to address public grievances and corruption. There are several provisions of this act. If you go, you will find that it makes provision for institution of Lokpal at the central level and Lok Ayukt at the state level. Getting point? This Lokpal is consisted of one chairman and 8 members. Getting point? In which 50% members are from judicial side. Getting point? 50% of its members are supposed to be from SC, ST, OBC, minority and women. To select members, there is selection committee consisted of Prime Minister, Speaker of Lok Sabha, opposition leader of Lok Sabha, Chief Justice of India or nominated by him as Supreme Court judge and eminent jurist nominated by President. Get a point? To assess selection committee, there is search committee also, and in which 50% are reserved for SC, ST, women, minority, and OBC. In this act, PM is also included. So now PM to be under Lokpal purview with certain restrictions. Getting point? Lokpal jurisdiction extends to all categories of civil servant from Group A to Group D. Getting point? Lokpal is also having superintendent power over all investigative agencies, including CBI. Getting point? For CBI, in CBI, for the selection of director post, there is provision of high-powered committee chaired by Prime Minister. Getting point? This act empowers Lokpal to attach and confiscate property of public servant by corruption means, even while the prosecution is impending. Getting point? It has set time limit also for disposal of affair. For primary inquiry, 3 months and 3 months further can be extended. For investigation, 6 months and further 6 months can be extended. And for trial, 1 year and 1 more year can be extended. Get a point? In case the situation requires. There is also a special court to be established to address this issue. And this also increases the maximum punishment from 7 years to 10 years. So these are some important features of this institution. This also provides to make adequate protection for honest and upright of public servant. Getting point? The new act gives Lokpal power to grant sanction for prosecution of public servant in place of government or competent authority. Earlier, when there was corruption charges before prosecution, sanction of government was required. Now, this power is given to Lokpal itself. Even foreign donation exceeding 10 lakhs also come under its jurisdiction. Getting point? It has also made several provisions with regard to strengthening CBI and establishment of Directorate of Prosecution under CBI and transfer posting, etc. all should take place with the consent of Lokpal. Under this act, there is provision that each and every state will enact their own law for Lok Ayukt and establish Lok Ayukt institution. In our state, Bihar, in 2011, Bihar Lok Ayukt Act was established. Before it, in 1973, Bihar was a state which established Lok Ayog. You know, in it is considered that even there was issue of whether Prime Minister should be included in PM Lokpal or not, or some other issue which were causing you can say lingering of Lokpal legislation. Some state come forward and they start establish their Lokayukt institution. Odisha is first state which in 1920 enacted its law. Maharashtra was first state in 1973 established Lokayukt institution. Later on in Bihar also in 1973 Lokayukt institution was established and Sridhar Vasudev Sohani was appointed first Lokayukt. Getting a point, in 2011 when Bihar, enacted one Bihar Lok Ayukt Act, but in 29 August 2016, first appointment took place, and Shyam Kishore Sharma was appointed first Lok Ayukt in new legislative setup, and Mihir Kumar Jha and Kriti Chandra Saha were appointed as member. Getting a point, the chairman is enjoying the status of Chief Justice of High Court, and members are enjoying the status of judges of High Court. Getting a point, they hear or dispose of complaint against public official. There is very cheap economic arrangement. One person is required to spend only 200 rupees for 100 rupees for court fee and 100 rupees for oath. Get a point? So Bihar is doing fairly well wheresoever Lok Ayukt is concerned. In India, at national level also, the Lok Ayukt Act was Lokpal Act was enacted in 2014, but for long period it was delayed. In 2019, March 23, retired Supreme Court Judge Pinaki Chandra Ghosh was appointed first Lokpal of India. Getting point, on the recommendation of the PA selection committee consisted of Modi, SPM, Ranjan Gogoi, Chief Justice of India, and Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan. Lokpal in India, since independence establishment, doing fairly well. In 2019, it was said that it has disposed of more than 1,000 cases against public officials. So what I mean to say, in general, Lokpal in India is doing fairly well. So if there was one question in BPSC, the question was asking that, this question, that last time this was asked, do you feel that Lokpal is an opposite of soul of Indian Constitution? Then what we like to say? In India, you can say there is parliamentary democracy, getting point. So there is ministerial responsibility also. So if you think as from general perspective, then in India, if the system works properly, then there is no need of Lokpal institution. But India is a very big country and very big population also. Large number of public officials spread over all our country. So it is not possible in parliamentary democracy for a minister to address all public grievances properly. That's why in India there has been several institutions even before Lokpal institution like CBI, CBC, Anti-Corruption Bureau. So to coordinate and to manage their work effectively, one institution was needed, and Lokpal is right to manage them. So Lokpal is some sort of, you can say, having leadership role in public grievances and corruption, getting point, supporting governance to make it good governance and sensitive and accountable governance. So what I mean to say, in no way you can say Lokpal is basically opposite of soul of Indian Constitution. It is inconsistent. It is consistent with the soul of Indian Constitution, Rather, you can say it is an extra supplement of governance in India. Extra supplement means the things is not working properly, existing system, it is providing some sort of extra arrangement to provide it. So this is very important thing. Getting point? So the question was asked, do you think that corruption can be managed by local institution? You have to give 5 arguments in favor and 5 arguments in against it. Get a point? How do you think whether local is in position to address corruption properly? Corruption is very big problem. It is deep rooted in society. It has number of manifestations. If there is corruption against public officials, definitely it can be. But if it enables the societal part, business, public organization part, private organization part, then it becomes not possible for Lokpal to address all these things. Get a point? So some other mechanism is also required. But one thing that is very clear, since PM is also included in all public officials from group A to group D are included. So it is also having good administrative setup. So you can say that it is in position to control corruption to large extent also. So if you ask me, five points in favor of local institution wherever corruption is reduction is concerned, I will say yes, it is. I will give first argument that it is historically proven, and it is worldwide level it has proven its mettle. So there is no doubt that if in India also it will prove its credibility, so one can be historical reason you can say. Then second you can point that since Prime Minister is also included here, so then what else now left over? So it is definitely in position. Now it has independent status. It is not under the government, which can be controlled by government also. So it is the one independence also gives some sort of guarantee that it will in position to do good. Then you can say it has supervisory role over say investigating agency. So this is also reason to ensure that it will work effectively. Then it has also power to give order for prosecution directly. So these are some reasons which make local institution little bit possible, more assertive that it will be in position to address corruption effectively. But there are other side also that in corruption is very broad issue, and no institution can be directly in position to address effectively. So Lokpal also is not in position to control it effectively. Number one, because it has number of manifestation and number of complications. Number two, in this setup there is provision that you cannot complain anonymously. You have to give your name, your identity. So due to this fear, several persons will not like to approach Lokpal, that otherwise they will be victimized by the administrative authority. Number three, you have made provision that if someone gives wrong charges or complaint, then there will be punishments against him. So that becomes very difficult for general person to approach Lokpal, because for administration it is very simple to prove the charges are baseless and there will be a counter attack even against them. So this is the basic reason. That's why you can find some difficulty. The first reason I told that corruption is big issue. Number one, no institution itself in position to correct them. Number two, and then number two, I told that you have to give your identity. So this is also reason. Number three, you can say if you give or your allegation is proved wrong, that there will be punishment against you also. Number three, you can point out. Number four, you can point out that political corruption and private sector corruption are very rampant, and this is they don't come under this one. So this is also some sort of handicap it on the part of local institution. Then you can say that it can take an issue up to 7 years only. So there may be several issues which can be more than 7 years or even older one, but having grave in nature, so they will not be addressed by Lokpal. So these are certain reasons for and against Lokpal. But in general, if you ask me, I can tell you, if corruption is not completely removed, at least, but it will be at least corrected or controlled by large extent by the institution of Lokpal. Anyway, that is no wrong. There is no difficulty at all in saying. But one thing more I will like to say, as corruption is deep rooted, corruption is, widespread, corruption administration already doing fairly well to correct it. Even then, there is some parallel economy, there is black marketing, there is black money, there is hoarding, there is Naxalism, terrorism. So this shows that there is corruption in system. So to correct them, we require some extra measure also. In addition to Lokpal institution, definitely Lokpal is here, but some other mechanism also require. We require to take some pre-active measure so that corruption should not emerge also. Getting a point? And some other measure we require to take, that media should be involved as a partner to control corruption. Then social audit, can be helpful here to control corruption. Get a point? Private sector should also come under uh, uh, vigilance mechanism, and there should be whistleblower that there is a corruption issue. There should be given protection. Getting point? Honest official should be given respect and protection. We have taken wrong approach, and instead of upholding, or you can say increasing integrity in administration, we always worked on removing corruption. So what happened? Neither integrity is achieved nor corruption is removed. So this is the thing. We have taken negative approach. That is also one of the reasons. We should not work on eradication of corruption. Rather, we should work on increasing integrity in administration. So definitely corruption will be checked on. So this is the thing what present government or present time we are doing. Anyway, we don't require to give too much emphasis on corruption. Rather, we require to give honor, recognition, opportunity to right official, so that other person may also feel some sort of encouragement and do for the cause of public nature. Getting point? There should be some integrity pact for government transaction. Suppose you are taking some government services or this that, you require to sign some impact with administration that you will have integrated behavior with integrity on both sides. There should be, you can say, included investigation, you can say vigilance should be included under the broad vision of supervision. Then you can say there should be disclosure of information suo motu, means public are not supposed to ask for information. Government officials should give information suo motu. So this also can be in position to bring transparency in administration. There should be a sound file tracking system to in all departments, so that public should know where their file is pending and what are reason. Then there should be annual public statement regarding pending cases should be published by each government agency, so that public should know what is actual functioning of government organization. Getting point? Then action prone to corruption should be split into different activities. There can be several measures we can take up to correct corruption. Corruption is basically social issue, and it has number of dimensions: social dimension, economic dimension, political dimension, administrative dimension, legal dimension, external dimension. So if all dimensions are taken collectively and addressed properly, then only corruption can be corrected. So if to expect that only Lokpal will be in position to address all corruption issues is not basically pragmatic and not basically possible. This is some sort of hypothetical approach. So what presently we are finding that the present setup is in working in directed to direct corruption, to control corruption through some different setup. The present government did so many initiatives like demonetization, GST, direct benefit transfer, Jan Dhan Yojana. There are several new ICT, use of ICT, then report card system, and then several guidelines not to appoint family member as your secretary if you become or minister or MP. Then you can say you have to give your detail while filing nomination for election. So these are several things we are taking up, and we can say that to. And one thing more we find on public front or a platform, there is appreciation by Prime Minister and other officials for honest functioning of several public officials. And on the other hand, the raw treatment with corrupt and you can say dishonest officials. Last time 100 IRS officers were given compulsory retirement for inaction or improper functioning. One IPS and IS were also given compulsory retirement for misconduct. So what I mean to say, present government is working on two counts. First, increasing integrity in administration, and second, discouraging and disowning corruption and dishonesty to large extent. And with the use of ICT and modern know-how, the government is doing fairly well. And Bihar level also, there is zero tolerance policy with regard to corruption, working in this direction effectively. So for several, you can say last year, few years, we don't find any biggest scam came into power and came into new notice. So this is, and there is, check of corruption also, black money, you can say parallel economy are very much under control. And now the public money with public is very now controlled one, and substantial amount of money with government to take up welfare and development activity. So this gives some sort of signal that we are doing in the right direction and corruption is on control mode. So we do expect that in future the thing goes right, wrong, it goes continue, then in the long run we will be in position to control corruption to large extent. Rather we should say that we will be in position to install integrity in administration to insignificant way. Get your point? So you have to try to do one question which was asked last time and one question asked in 55th BPSC which was repeated. You try to write, take book, consult news, internet, etc. and post to me. If you have any difficulty, you can contact me also. Okay, all the best. Enjoy.